Hey everybody, it's Casual Poops coming at you with another video, and today we're going to be covering the AMX 1357. It's not a new tank in the game, it's been around for quite some time, but it is very fun, and it's the tank I think everybody should have. Probably everybody should have this tank if you don't have it, and you'll probably see why I think that very soon. So without further ado, we'll get into the stats. Okay, so the 1357 is it's a tier 7 French premium light tank, and it's a ton of fun. It's got a little tiny 57mm pew pew gun, and it's got a clip that's 8 rounds, which sounds like a lot. And here's the real big thing though: it only does 90 damage per shot, but it does an intra-clip reload time of 1 second. So it takes 7 seconds from the first time you shoot to dump the whole mag. So it's pew 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 pew, and what this normally does is like in this game, in World of Tanks, most of the time you're shot by things not very often, right? Most reloads are 8-9 seconds or even longer. So normally when somebody gets shot by something, they're like, oh god, what was that? So all of a sudden when something starts peppering them like pew 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 pew, or god forbid you got 2 or 3 of these in a platoon, it's just like a fire hose of bullets, and people just freak out. Their just brains turn off, and it's very funny to see how people react to getting completely just, I don't know, just getting a bunch of bullets thrown at them. So it's pretty funny. And that's one of the reasons I think everybody should have this tank. It's more fun in platoons. Play it with 2 or in groups of 2 or in groups of 3 is great. But yes, the damage is low, but the clip is pretty decent, right? 720 damage in a clip is totally fine, especially given how low of the short amount of time that it takes to dump the clip. The accuracy is like these accuracy gun stats are okay. This is fine. Final dispersion is fine. It's the biggest thing is that, like, because it shoots so quickly, it will you'll shoot faster than you aim. So you really want to be close in with something, like when you can get within 2 tank lengths of something, and pew 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 pew, and just you don't even have to aim at that point. You're right there. The reticle is full of tank is the best way to do this. Otherwise, you will if you're making long shots, you'll want to make sure that you let the thing aim in, so you're not getting the full 1 second intra clip, but you're hitting your shots. And why is that important? Because one of the only downsides, the standard penetration is kind of it's okay, it's not bad, but it's exacerbated by the fact that the ammo capacity is 56. Normally that would not be that big of a deal, but the total damage that this thing can possibly do if you hit every single shot, which you won't, is 5,000 damage, 5,040 damage. So that means, like, it only gets 8 clips, I think. What is it? It's 7 times 8. No, there's a calculator. Here we go. To do math. 7. You get 7 clips, and so that sounds like a lot, but it really isn't, because it only takes you 7 seconds to dump the clip, and then you you reload for 21 seconds, which is a short amount of time, and it doesn't take very long to be shooting and using the gun in the fun way that you can in this tank, to be running out of ammo, especially if you're blind firing things. And it's very easy to run out of ammo. I believe that this thing is on Blitz. It's on Blitz, and I think they gave it like 2 extra mags of ammo, which it needs, honestly. But yeah, the ammo is cheap. The big thing here is that because you only get 8 clips total worth of ammo, and it's so easy to dump the ammo, I personally run mine with 2 separate loadouts. One with all AP rounds for games where I'm the top tier, and there's like tier 5s in the game maybe, and then one that's all APCR. And it sucks to do this, but like if you have like a mix of both, what's very common to happen is where you're in the end game or even just the middle of the game, but you're mostly out of ammo, and you've got maybe 1 clip of something of standard rounds and a half a clip of premium, or like a half a clip of each, and so you don't really have the clip potential to end a game right. And so yeah, and if you don't have the right ammo for the job, I take all one or all the other, and I really recommend that everybody does the same, because again, it's just, if they gave it more ammo, you could afford to mix it up a little bit, but because it doesn't have that much, you really need to make sure that you have full clips at the end of the game. That's the big thing. Otherwise, it kind of plays very similarly to a 1375 on the tech tree, except better, because when in update 9.18, when all the light tanks got nerfed, the premium tank stayed the same. And in fact, a long time ago, when this tank was first introduced, I was kind of on the fence about it, because it didn't feel as accurate as I felt that it should. Like, if I'm only hitting for 90 damage, I should have a pretty damn good gun. and so it felt a little derpy. But now, ever since I think that change or another, there was an update where somehow all the light tanks at a certain tier, I think tier 6 and up, all got to mount, or maybe it's tier 5 and up, all the light tanks tier 5 and up got to mount vertical stabilizers. So now the 1357 can mount a V-stab, and that makes the gun feel great. So that change by itself really has made the tank amazing to me, because before you couldn't mount a V-stab, and the gun was just okay. So anyways, it's perfectly fine. Like 25 power to weight is great, 61 top speed is fine. Like you can just pepper wheelie boys. I still wouldn't necessarily go up against these against wheelie boys because they have the high pen HE, and you also need to watch out for the what is it, type 62 has that really good HE round. But otherwise, for the most part, you can hang with most things that you find at tier. You don't need, I mean, obviously you don't want to just go looking for fights. You're still a light tank, but you have a gun that's worth playing with. 6 degrees of gun depression is okay. It's, you know, it's your standard French light tank. The shell velocity is fine. I will say also regarding the nerfs to everything else, the view range is 390, which is quite good for tier 7. That allows you to do a lot. Especially if your crew is decent, and this has the same 3-man crew as all the mid and high tier French light tanks. So that's going to be helpful, except the wheelies. The wheelies are weird, but all the tracked mid and high tier French light tanks. Good lord, that's a lot of qualifiers. But anyways, the crew is fine. A lot of French tanks have 3-man crews, and this one does too. 390 view range is fine. The camo is pretty decent. So if you put a camo crew and Brothers in Arms and that, like, it's 34 is okay, right? Someone's going to say, there's so much better out there. But like having 34 at tier 7 is pretty decent, right? There's obviously it can be better. You can make it better by using things like low noise exhaust in some of your equipment loadouts. But like this will at least allow you to play the role of light tank as opposed to having it worse where you really kind of can't. So I think the tank is great, and I don't think there's anything else to really talk about. The tank cost is only 4,500 gold, so this comes up a lot because it's been around for so long. They've made it available for gold a lot in the like summer sales events, so maybe we'll see this for sale for gold in the next couple of months, or it wasn't in the most recent advent calendar, but it was in the one before that. So it's common to see this thing for sale, right? So if you see the video and you decide that you want this, it shouldn't be that long of a wait to go and to be able to pick it up. Let's see here, the armor. There is no armor. There's no armor. It has just enough armor where you can, if you find yourself up against let's see here, the Chinese light tank, the Type 62 has those really good HE rounds I was mentioning. You find yourself up against one of those, you know, they do have to aim. They have to aim at a flat spot. So it's not a guaranteed pen. It's not like they can right click, left click. But if they get your side, then they're going in. So like, you know, and the penetration is only 43. So like they do 300 damage. It's just stupid. But yes, and especially like if you're enjoying your marathon, I hope you're enjoying your marathon. The new PTK tank has 100 millimeters of pen on its HE rounds, which means it is going to cheese you everywhere for 400 damage. So really, if you're playing, that qualifies for every light tank right now. It's just going to get eaten by those things. But what I'm trying to get at here is the armor is not really there. It's a light tank. It's your typical light tank that doesn't really have any armor, and that's totally fine. There's a GF version. It's the same thing. The GF just has these stickers on it, and you can't put camo on it. The 1357 without the GF just means you can put your own camo on it. As far as builds and equipment, this is kind of debatable. Some of these are debatable. So I will say that what I will always do, let's see here. I will always do this one, right? I'll always do that one. And I'm probably also always doing this one too. Just because you're never, if you're getting rammed or HE'd or stunned or whatever, like you're already screwed. So it doesn't really make a difference in my opinion. Now this one, this was going to be debatable based on what kind of equipment you use. And again, that is kind of debatable. So I'll go into it. I personally have this one because it has plenty of engine power, but you can always use a little more top speed, in my opinion. And the loadout that I use most of the time on almost every map, just the default, is optics in the improved slot. And I think my crew has, you know, is a decent crew, so it's got a couple of view range things and Brothers in Arms and stuff. And then I run food, of course, and then I run a vertical stabilizer and a turbo. And so that allows me to get to 67 and a 28 reverse speed, which is really nice because you can back into bushes and then get out of there. I mean, I like the mobility here, especially with almost 28, 27 power to weight. So this is how I run it. And then I would, this is how I would probably run like most of the time, right? And perhaps you could have another loadout for if another equipment loadout for that's purely dedicated to scouting, or maybe you have like, you don't get CVS at tier 7, so it's going to be probably optics, low noise exhaust, and then it's up to you whether it's vents or turbo or something like that. I don't think there's a lot of choices. You have a lot of choices, and none of them are bad. Well, some of them are bad, but because there's no CVS, it really kind of opens up your options. I would probably either go with vents or a turbo for like a stealthy thing, so you can get to the bushes quicker. But that is it. It is, like I said, it is more debatable than most tanks. But this is how I like to run mine most of the time. And yeah, without further ado, we'll get into the gameplay. Before we get into the game real quick, I forgot to mention this before. The winner of the PTK, so Wes Smith, which is Whiskey Cardinal Wes, his little thing here is, what do you have when you have a little green ball in your left hand, little green ball in your right hand? You have Kermit's undivided attention. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So Whiskey Cardinal West is the winner. I'm going to put your name down. You will win the PTK. They will not be able to credit it to you until after the marathon is over. So until then, I don't know, get some free stuff in the marathon anyways, but then you'll get it afterwards. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you should have watched the whole video last time. But for those that did comment, thank you for watching the whole thing. I just wanted to put it out there so that, a lot of people just skip right to the gameplay. So anyways, now we'll get into the game. All right, so in this particular game, we're going to be starting out watching Thunder playing in his 1357, and he's platooned with Savo playing also another 1357, except that's the GF, the Grand Finals version. Again, looks like they're exactly the same tank, except one has the stickers on the side and no camo. But I believe the stickers count as camo, technically. But anyways, playing on Province, and this is a Tier 7 game with Tier 6s in it as well. And like this is another one of those where, like I said, Thunder is using all standard rounds, and I agree with that assessment. If this was, if this was Tier 9s in the game, then it would probably be all premium. But for now, this is absolutely fine. And we're using the mobility here pretty effectively, and Thunder is just going to go ahead and, why not put some shots in? Just, dump it. There's a Chi-Ri caught out, so you might as well just dump the clip. And just like that, Thunder was able to rack up 500 damage, and that was awesome. Goodbye, Chi-Ri. And that's exactly what this thing can do. That's like one of the reasons I love the 1357 is it does just bring the pain. It doesn't take a lot of time. It's very satisfying, right? It doesn't do a lot of damage, but man, it dumps it pretty quick. Now he and Savo are both going to see this Tog, and let's just observe. This is how... No, that Tog is not on fire, but it sure looks like it's on fire because it's getting eaten by a pair of 1357s at the same time. So a few seconds ago, that Tog had 1,700 hit points, and now it has, what, 400? 500? Not very many. And you can see how quickly the Tog, or the 1357 reloads, because now here we are again. This is... Tog is dead. That was an entire Tog in about 20 seconds, right? With two mags from, or 1.5 mags from both of these two tanks. And again, you don't need a lot of time. Like, even if you don't get a full mag out of this thing, you just pew pew pew, and people just freak out. They're like, oh my god, I've been just shot 3 times, and they just freak out, because normally when you get shot once or twice, it's, you have more time to react. But normally in this game, when you're being shot by what seems to be a bunch of things because they're getting shot all at once, you must have really made a mistake. So people tend to just freak out and to turn their brains off when they start getting clipped out by a 1357. And you saw that T-25-2 do the same thing. And again, you could see apparently what 2 of these things will do. And this, God forbid, there's this Brett Panther trying to do his very best. He's got too steep of an angle to side scrape effectively. And just that's, my god, that's it. They're just basically blitzing this entire flank. And Thunder already has 2,000 damage, and this 1357 looks like he's a dead stick. This kind of feels bad a little bit because their team was pretty much down to Tier 7 right away. But this guy, man, yeah, I don't know what to say. Shkoda, use your mini-map, turn your mini-map on. But you could see, like, the clip potential is decent, and it also does not take a long time to reload. So because of that, it's very forgiving. You can see the gun's a little bit on the derpy side, right? Especially in between shots. Thunder is waiting, letting it aim a little bit so he can hit these shots because they're pretty far off. And that's what you want to do sometimes. You can't just hold down the left mouse button and shoot as fast as you can because you're going to miss a lot of your shots. But that's it. Look at how fast we've just melted this entire team. There's an E25 and there's a T150 left. And we're going to see Thunder's probably fast enough to get to that E25. And he's going to try to see if he can't get another few rounds in. But again, I want to just point out to the fact that Thunder's done 3,200 damage, which is great. But he's only got 13 rounds left. So he's got his mag of 8 right now, plus math, another 5. Right? So he's almost out of ammo at this point. That's you know, one of the main drawbacks of this tank is somebody snagged it. The 40 TP snagged the kill. Oh, what a cheeky move. But that's one of the main drawbacks of this tank is it doesn't carry a lot of ammo. All right, so now for the double dose. For the second game here, we're going to be watching me playing my 1357. I'm platooned up with Pax. And again, this is just, the tank is just so much more fun when you're able to platoon up with at least one friend because you just double the clipping. It's great. And so it's Mountain Pass. We got a tier 8s and a bunch of tier 7s. There's one artillery. So I choose to use the entire premium loadout. I have nothing but premium rounds because it's just there's tier 8s, and so it is what it is. And I'm just going to sit in this bush and just try to be very careful, try to farm some spotting damage. And it's a risky play, right? But a lot of times, oh, and I've been spotted, and a lot of times you would normally evaporate right here, but I see that this 1357 is just sitting, and I am not getting shot. So I'm like, okay, there's free damage. I'll just end that entire 1375's existence. He's dead. I got to take him out in about 4 seconds, and then I still had time to run away while shooting a couple people on the move. So right away, I'm already up almost 600 damage. And now right away I'm ready to go again. I'm gonna handbrake turn and use my awesome reverse speed with the turbo and so on to try to see. A lot of times it looks like they have the shelf, this little shelf at H3, H4, and so when they have the shelf, it's very, very, very dangerous to play where I'm playing right now. I'm expecting that I could be shot any minute here, but I'm preparing to scoot around this curve if I get spotted. But and I can't quite see the outline of it. He doesn't hit a lot, right? 92 damage is not a lot, but you know, hey, I just put a few rounds in. That was 271 damage to the A45 on the way through for free. So the damage does add up, and because the intra-clip is very short, you know, I was able to. I'm reloading a clip now, and I'm up again. So the drum reload feels very comfortable. You're not out of the fight for a long time. So it's one of the few light tanks in the game that's still fun to play because it's not gimped with regards to damage again. And I didn't get spotted before, like, so now there's a mostly dead this DA, this T71 Da decides to make the jump, but like for some reason he was already low on hit points, and so I knew that I would be spotted as soon as I shot him. But because I figured I can clip that guy and leave before anybody will make a difference, we'll be able to take note of it. I basically shot him and killed him before he could even like register what was happening. And at that point now we have most of the team is spotted, most of the team is, you know, kind of committed. We got some guys on the ice road, we got some guys holding people up at, what is that, J3. So Pax and I are going to go across the bridge and we're going to gank that super Hellcat who's isolated, right? Because now the two of us, our combined clip potential is like, it's 720 times 2, which is 1440, right? And that all gets dumped out in like 8 seconds. So it's really potent. And so now we're going to go ahead and surprise somebody. And there's their super Hellcat friend, but he's got a Barask with him. So that's, you can see how quickly we're melting a super Hellcat. And I realize now that the Barask is actually the target. I probably should have stayed and clipped out the rest of the super Hellcat, but I'm anticipating getting dunked on by this Barask because they do have, you know, it's a Barask, it's dangerous. They've got a really good clip themselves. So I was going to bail, and now it's been enough time. It's only been 20 seconds, but I'm ready to go again. So here we go. Now this Barask gets to get the, you know, get the bullet hose again. And so those guys are all dead. I'm going to re-clip here voluntarily, again, because it looks like those guys have pretty much got the Progetto down. We're going to go get the artillery and then see if we can't clean up the 9-0 line. The game is over, right? It's 13-7, and this has just been another raffle stomp. And this, here we go. This is This is one of the things about this tank that's really frustrating. Is look, I'm sitting here not penning the frickin' artillery for my first 4 rounds of this clip. Did not pen the artillery. So that's one of the reasons when I said, like, oh, 5,000 damage sounds really great. But, like, you're not going to pen all those shots. I just bounced 4 rounds, half my mag, off of the frickin' M12. The first one missed. The second, I mean, just, so these are the things that happen. It is what it is. You take the good with the bad, but this is why you can't be afraid to load some premium, because the gun will troll you, even for a little 57mm. But I think these guys, this was a weekend where there was a Prima Victoria marathon, so, or not marathon, Prima Victoria rental. So these guys, I feel kind of bad about this. Don't really know what they're doing. Don't really have any idea what's happening. It doesn't seem like. So I'm just gonna sit here and once we've reloaded again, I've got 10 rounds. I've got 10 rounds left, which is not enough. I want more ammo, but I'm just gonna make these count, right? I'm not shooting exactly when I'm loaded. I'm just trying to make sure that, oh, this is the Prima Victoria is the last one. He's got 247 hit points. I've got 2 rounds left, so this is just barely enough. I've just got to wait, and it doesn't look like it looks like he's hidden from the enemy team. Pax might have a shot, but he's being pre-aimed at, so Pax is not shooting. I'm waiting, aiming my last one, and there it is. We get the last kill with the last round in the mag. That's a Faden's medal, so that's pretty awesome. All right, so in the first game we watched, that was the game with Thunder, ended up getting 3,377 damage, 1 kill, and spotted for 1,500 damage. That got him the ace tanker, the high caliber, the tank sniper. For some reason, I think it was from all those shots from across the way. That ended up getting him 1,521 base XP, and Savo also got 1,325 base XP. Pretty clearly they carried that game, and you could tell just by watching it what they were able to do. And then Thunder ended up taking home a 89,000 credit profit, because he, all of the things that he shot were premium, or were standard rounds, and the ammo is pretty cheap, and he didn't really take a lot of damage, so you really can make a lot of really good money in the 1357 if you're shooting standard rounds. In the second game we watched, that was with me, that was I ended up getting 3,856 damage, 54 damage, and 5 kills, because a bunch of the blind damage from that Prima Victoria, 2,500 spotting. That was an ace tanker, high caliber. I think there was an Oskins medal, and also a Faden's medal. Again, that was my first one I've ever gotten in my entire 42,000 or whatever games, where you kill the last enemy on the enemy team with the last shell in your gun. Very hard to get. I don't know. RNG smiled upon me, and Pax might have held his shot. I appreciate it. Thanks, buddy. And then that also got 1,775 base XP, and Pax also helped out and also got 1,202 base XP. That was a pretty good game for him as well. And at the end of the game there also, we ended up costing 20,000, 24,000 credits, and I also already had the food, right? I was running food. So it really, I think a lot of this comes down to the fact that I bounced those rounds off the artillery, because I hit most of my other shots, right? I shot 56, I hit 51, I penned 45. So that's a pretty decent ratio, but it really just comes down to, if you're going to shoot standard rounds, you'll probably make pretty good money, but you might bounce shots that you don't think should bounce. And if you're going to shoot premium rounds, you'll probably pen a lot of those shots, but it might cost you some money. But honestly, either way, the 1357 is a fantastic tank. It's fun to play. It's one of the tanks that I think everybody in the game should have, because, oh my god, you get 2 or 3 of these together in a group, and it's just, you'll be laughing like like hyenas before too long. So anyways, that is it. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next one.